And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Pie Factory. Now, pies are a great thing. In fact, I can tell you that this is a theme that's very near and dear to my heart. Pies are fantastic, and if I'm going to play a game of pie, I would hope it would have the greatest pie ever invented, the key lime pie in it. I would hope it would have rhubarb pie, and chocolate pie, and lemon meringue pie, and peach pie. Well, almost all those pies are in this game. Sadly, no peach pie, but the classic pies are in here. It's a game about making pies. It's a game about drafting cards. Let's take a look. The game takes place over 2 days. Going through the whole deck here is 1 day, and each day you're going to be a certain number of cards placed face up here, and the number of cards basically depends on the number of players. So on your turn, you have some actions that you can do. One of the actions is you can take a card from this line here. Now, you'll notice here, each player has one of these. These cards help them. If you take this card here, you have to pay 2 cards. Discard 2 cards to do that. If you take either of these cards, you have to discard a card. And if you take these cards, however many are over here, then this is a 3-player game set up, then they're free. Now, when you take a card, nothing moves or anything, so whoever goes first in a turn order will have a chance to get the free cards. You can also draw a card off the top of the deck and add that to your hand. You do have a hand limit of 4 cards. Another thing you can do as an action is you can play a card from your hand in front of you. And then the third action that you can do is you can box pies. So we'll get back to boxing pies in a second. But at the end of each round, everybody will look at the card that they drafted or played, if they did one, and whoever has the lowest time is going to go first in the next round, and so forth. If you boxed pies, or if you drew a card off the top of the deck, then you will go last, and turn order is broken by the current turn order, etc. Now, when you play cards in front of you, you are going to be building 3 pies. Now, to start each pie, you need a crust. And so here's a crust card that's worth $1. And if for nothing else, you can use the back of any card as a crust. It's not worth anything, but it can be a crust, so you can always get crusts. Then on top of a crust, you'll want to put a filling. And you'll notice that this is a filling, this key lime, because it tells you it goes on top of a crust. So I'd play it like this. Here's another one, a lemon pie. And again, it needs to go on top of a crust. Then there are things that can go on top of certain fillings, like this one here, a lattice. This one can go on top of the berries, apples, or the rhubarb. Now, that does not actually fit on any of these pies, so I could not place it on top of any of these. But I might get a topping that does go on top of these. Let's see if I can find one here in the deck. Here we go, meringue. So meringue shows that it can go on top of key lime, it shows it can go on top of lemon, or it can go on top of chocolate. So here I have a lemon meringue pie. Now, when you box pies, this is the action for your turn. You take the top card of each pie pile. It can even be just a crust. You can box a crust. And then you will place those in a scoring pile for the end of the game. The rest of the cards are discarded. And then you go on. And you're going to want to box pies because, again, you can only have 3 in front of you. However, when you box pies, you have to box all of them, so you want to make sure your pies are good. And if this deck runs out and the first day's over, one of your pies is going to completely spoil. So crust won't spoil, but pies will. After you go through the deck once and a pie spoils, you'll go through again. And after the second time, everyone's going to take all the cards that they have, and they're going to score those cards based on the money that's on them. And then there's also some bonuses. Some of these cards have different things that they stand for. For example, you'll see here the tie. That stands for the president. Whoever has the most of these cards gets 5 points. Whoever has the most secretary cards that this gets 3 points. There's another one that's a foreman, that's 4 points. And there's also a grandma card. And if you have a grandma card, that's the one with kisses and love from grandma, you can change one of your presidents to icons to a foreman or a secretary icon. It's kind of an odd thing, but it is. And then whoever has the most boxed pies will also get a bonus of 3 points. You add together all your points, and whoever has the most is the winner of the game. Now, I'm not going to say I like this game because it has key lime pie, or that it has chocolate pie with meringue, and lemon meringue, and rhubarb pie, which is a fantastic pie, of which if you've never had, you should. But those don't help. I mean, those do help. I'm sorry. I like the theming of pies. This is a neat thing here. And building the pies is something that people understand, and boxing them. The game has a really kind of a cool drafting mechanism where sometimes you'll draft something that's a lower number just so that you can go first in the following round. But there's always those free cards, but sometimes you need another card, but you're like, I don't want to discard 2 cards to get that. And then there's that boxing the pies. Boxing the pies, it's best to wait till you have 3 actions, because then you have 3 pies in front of you, because then you can box them all, and you're spending fewer actions to do it. But at the same time, if you wait too long, the day could run out, and then you have spoiled pie, which is really a waste of time and can honestly lose you the game. Now, the game isn't long, and this is one of the few rabbit games that actually scales very well. There's some you use a fewer cards with less than 4 to 3 players, but it's fast, it's simple, the theme is one that's appealing, the artwork is good, and your choices are fine. The only niggly problem I would have is that timing thing, because each turn you have to kind of quickly figure out who goes first the next round, and that's not a huge deal, but it's like, okay, yeah, you have 3, I got 4, 2, 1, so it's you. In a 4-player game, that could get maybe a little bit wearisome doing that every turn of the game. Other than that, though, you can try to go for pie crust, throw out some pie crust and box them and go for a lot of smaller points, or you can try to build the bigger pies, because remember, you only keep the top card. Or you can go for those majorities, which do matter at the end of the game, even if they're a little odd thematically speaking. But for the size of this game, it's a nice little clever game. Pie Factory. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!